Welcome to 50 Movies in 50 Weeks. I'm your host, Joey Hollywood, and I'm trying to get through all 50 movies in this 50 movie box set from Mill Creek in 50 Weeks. The movie I watched today was called The Nightmare Never Ends from the year 1980. So, actually, let me just pause. Pause so I can read through this.
One eternity later.
Okay, so I just wanted to take a moment to read the actual back of this card, because even though I've seen this movie, I don't really know what happened in it. Right off the bat, this movie has almost schizophrenic editing. Like I don't really feel like I knew what was going on until very late in the movie, and then it just kept on like confusing me. And not in like a David Lynch or like, you know, like maybe like a good Twilight Zone episode kind of way. Just more like there was at one point I felt like this was like 4 different movies combined into one, and it wasn't until very late in the movie where I started to think like, oh, okay, things are coming together. But even then, I was like, I don't really know what's happening here. But I did take notes. My first note is schizophrenic editing, because the opening of the movie is shots of an ocean, people falling asleep, people waking up, cutting over to people driving in a car, then shots of the Nazis, and then someone waking up from a trance. It's like, it's all over the place. It maintains that through much of the movie. The woman who's having what we find out later on is nightmares about the Nazis. Originally, you don't know it's a nightmare. It's like, okay, what was that? And then you're like, oh, I guess it's a nightmare because of the dialogue. But she goes to a magician to figure out like why she's having these dreams. And the magician's like, yo, I'm a magician. I don't know what to tell you. But he tells her that he thinks that the Nazi footage is something that she's created on her own. There's another character who meets up with, oh shoot, what's his name? I have it written down. Cameron Mitchell. He meets up with Cameron Mitchell because he's in this movie apparently, and he's like, "Oh, this guy's in all these Nazi photos. He's alive still, and like he's got like, you know, the board with like all the like the strings. Not exactly, but he's like, look, this guy is this age back during World War II. He hasn't aged today. So there's like intrigue going on, and then it cuts back to the woman who's having the nightmares, and there's such a thin plot to this. Like, even when I read this, it read kind of like my notes, just kind of like a very plain like collection of scenes that are articulated in words. I didn't really like this movie. This movie felt like it'd be fun to watch with someone, so I could share like I could share looks with like, are you getting any of this? Because it was not a fun watch. God, there's like a mysterious man that keeps on going around, and he's somehow tied to the dreams or the never aging Nazi guy. And it's weird because it will set up one guy as like a potential villain, and then he winds up being a victim of something else. Kind of like that terrible movie Crash, not the David Cronenberg one, but the other one. But it's not like Crash is better than this, I will say that. But yeah, nothing really comes together. It feels like a fever dream. I would say it lives up to its title. However, the movie did eventually end, and I will give it that. It was more of an interesting experience than anything else. I think it would have been more fun to watch with someone. Watching on my own, I was just kind of like, at a certain point, I was just waiting for it to be over. But if you got like a buddy and you want to watch, and if there's no content for you to watch in this age of streaming where everything's at your fingertips, this might be a fun one to sit down with. The most interesting thing about this movie is that it is filmed in Salt Lake City, Utah. It was written on the end credits, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I don't really have a whole lot more to say about this. I really wish I did, because it was so bizarre, but nothing was really cohesive with it. It was just things happening, and like most of my frustration came from like trying to connect where I was in the plot, and it was just kind of an annoying experience, but not really one that I can translate to you in like a vlog style thing, especially when I'm trying to do like 50 of these. But yeah, it definitely not a high point on this box set. I will say, as I've been saying in these past several videos, I'm sorry if I'm getting repetitive, but it was an interesting departure from the past 3 years. So I'm not like annoyed with it. I'm like, okay, hopefully we don't get any more movies like this. But it was like, I don't know. I'm a little lost for words. It was just a bizarre experience. I don't recommend it. This would definitely be in the skip category if you're watching along with me. And yeah, I think that's it. I don't recommend this one. Thank you for watching, though. I will see you next week. Remember, please be kind and rewind.